Hi, so let's continue with Python. We're going to discuss in this video the functions. So how to define functions in Python. We use the keyword or diff, and then the function name, whatever name you want to put, and then colon. So then the function body, and note that the indentation, one tab, and you write the function body. For example, let's say I want to do diff print list as a parameter. Colon for k in list print k. Use indentation to define beginning of the function and the end of the function. So here we have two tabs because that's inside the for loop. We have one tab that's inside the diff. As an example, let's go back and run our Python. So I can do something like, let's erase all that. Let's do print hello, something like that. That's the main, and then I will write diff, whatever function name you want. Let's say print. I think print is a keyword, so I don't need to use print. Let's say list print, something like that, and I will provide ls as a list, and I will do something like for k in ls, then print k. That's it. Now I need to go back here. Now I need to call the function. Just calling the function means I do list print, and I should provide the list. I can do the list here. I can maybe define a variable a which has the list, and then I can pass a as a variable, and then it should display the list. So if I run that, F5, I get hello, and I get print out the elements of the list. Here's another example. Define my function. There's no parameters here. X equal 10. Print the value inside the function x. Here it's talking about the local variable and global variable. So here I'm defining a local variable for x inside the function. I have a global variable x, which is 20. That's in the main, because that's the beginning of the indentation of the program. So that's considered as a main. I'm calling my function, so that x now is not this x, because that's a local inside the function. This is the global function x. So when I print the value x here, I should print 20, and that's what I see here. And inside the function, when I call the function x is 10, I should print the value of x. That's the value is 10, the local variable for x. So here you need to consider local variables inside the function and global variables inside the inside the main. Okay. Here is another example about default parameters. So diff greet, name is the name of the person, message equal good morning. So here's the default message to the variable, to the parameter message. So what happens here, basically, if you call this function doesn't do anything. Just do hello name plus comma plus message. So it should display whatever name you passed plus the message. The message by default is good morning. You can change that. So here, for example, greet Kate. So that means that by default message has not been provided, so it's going to be good morning. So we're going to see hello Kate, good morning. While if I do greet Bruce, how do you do, then that would be replacing the default value here for message, and that would be my new value for message. So I will see hello Bruce, how do you do? Okay, that's the message had been passed. Here I think I forgot to add the quotation and the parentheses here. I don't know why I didn't add that, so I can do this and this. Okay, so this is how default parameters, you can default the parameters in the variables whatever you want. If it is not passed by the main to that function, if this parameter is not passed, then by default we'll consider this value. One thing I noticed in Python, that you can't say, okay, this variable, this parameter doesn't have a default, this variable has a default, and the next variable doesn't have default. You can't do that. You have to collect all the variables that has default in one branch and the other variable that doesn't have default in another branch. So basically here it doesn't have any default, so that's, well, you can put it here. then I can make another parameter here which with default. Then I cannot add another parameter comma another parameter here without default. It has to have a default. So once you set one variable to be default, then the rest of the variables has to be all default. So you can't do no default, no default. You can't do that. Okay. You can't mix between default and non-default variables. You have to define the default, the non-default first, and then you have followed by all the default parameters. Okay. If you do not know how many arguments that will be passed into your function, you add a star before the parameter name in the function definition. And that's what print basically. You note that the function print, it can take variable number of parameters. So it can take 3, 4, 5 separated by comma, whatever you want. So this is defined this way. So diff f star arg, whatever, it doesn't have to be arg. I can name it any name. But this is an important thing, the star. So we have to proceed with the parameter name as a star, and then for k in arg you do a print. So that's basically how the print works. It will take a star, any argument, number of arguments, and you do a for loop in this argument, and then you print every element in this list. So for example, a 1 2 b 1 2 as a set, you can do f a comma b, and that will return 1 2 and 1 2. So what happens basically, k will take the first argument and print k. So it will take this argument, the a, and display it by doing print k, and then take the next argument, that's the set 1 2, and display k as a set. So so that's how, if you don't know the number of arguments that you have, then you put a star and then you can give it any number of arguments, but make sure that you have to loop over these arguments. Use it for k in this arguments or this name, variable name, the parameter name, and then you can process everything, whatever you want in this in the function. This is another example, greet star names, and for name in names print hello names. Here you can supply many names and it will say hello to all of them. So greet all these names, and then you're going to loop on all these names, picking one name at a time, and print hello that name. So hello Monica, hello Luke, Steve, and John. That's what's displayed on the screen. Go back to local variable versus global variable. If you want to access x in the global one, what we should do? For example, I'm defining here a function. First I define x as a global variable to be 5, and then I'm here saying that this function foo, I have a global variable x, so this x now is a global variable. So this x, I'm saying that here, this x is the global one, so that's my x now. I'm going to multiply x times 2, that will be 10, and I'm saving this value 10 inside x, so that changed this x actually, the global one. X inside foo should be 10 in this case. And another function here, x, this is now local, okay, because I didn't declare it as the global one, so it's a local one. So x in the local is a 3, and then I'm going to here call foo. I should see the 10 here. Then I'm going to print x. X is 10 now. It's changed to 10 because, as I said, this is the global x. And then I call f. I should see 3, and I'm changing the x. This is the local x, display 3, and then I'm displaying x again, the global one, and the global one is 10. It's kept its value before, the same as before calling f. So this is how if you want to access the global x or the global variable that you are defining in main, or not the local one, so you precede that variable with a global, so it means that I'm going to use here the global variable x, while here it's using the local variable for x. Okay. Files. Let's see how can we handle files. So this is all about functions. Now let's see how we can handle files. Let's stop this video and continue in the next video. Okay, thank you.